Just the noise. Welcome to Film Camera Obsession. My name is Todd Macon. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already done so, please hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Today I want to introduce you to and give an overview of the first analog camera I ever purchased. What I fondly consider the limousine of my camera collection. It's big, it's heavy, and it's got a cocktail bar. This is the Mamiya RB67 Pro S. So why is the RB67 so popular, and why is it so often the first medium format analog camera that people buy? Well, for one thing, it's a fantastic design. The glass is absolutely incredible, razor sharp. And though I know sharpness isn't everything when it comes to photography, there is a strange kind of clarity to the Mamiya glass that makes it really beautiful and characteristic. Mamiya started making cameras in the 1940s. They started with some 35 millimeters, including one with a removable magazine back, which I'd really like to find and check out. They also made some twin lens reflex cameras, the C series. I'd also like to get my hands on one of those. Mamiya also made fishing rods and golf clubs, though those don't take very good pictures. Another reason why, as an analog camera, the RB67 is so popular is because it is completely mechanical and completely modular. You can do a lot with it. No batteries, which means that there's no light meter in it, which is okay. You can use your phone. I highly recommend a pocket light meter, but I also have a Sekonic light meter that I often use with this, especially if I'm going to be using flash in a studio. Let's take it apart. In order to get the lens off, you do have to cock the shutter. It is a bayonet type mount, and you have this retaining ring here. Big fatty old mirror in there. You can remove the waist level finder, and they do make prism finders. In order to do that, you're going to slide the Mamiya logo forward. There's a little button here that you push. Slide. Comes right off. You have some ground glass. This one, which is a feature of the Mamiya Pro S, is that it's got a landscape, and so you know when you're in landscape and portrait mode. RB67 stands for rotating back, portrait mode, landscape mode, and it's always nice on a medium format camera to have removable backs. So I have two backs, and oftentimes you can have different types of film, maybe black and white, maybe color. They're pretty well designed. I'll get to that in a second. And then that's it. You can even take off the rotating back. There's a little lever on the bottom here. Flip. And then it's like you have a camera garage sale. It's awesome. Do lots of fun things, like Legos. So some of the positive features about a Mamiya RB67 that I really love. First and foremost, the waist level finder is big, beautiful, and bright. You feel like you're looking into a movie screen when you're looking through this sucker. So I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. One of the coolest things about the Mamiya RB67 is the satisfying sounds it makes. Check it out. It's important to note with the Mamiya RB67 that the shutter is not in the camera body, the shutter is in the lens. One benefit to that is that you don't have a flash sync speed. You can use the flash at the highest speed that your shutter will go up to. On the 90mm here, that is 400th of a second. Another really cool feature about the Mamiya RB67 Pro S are the idiot-proof features that they've built in. With the back, you can't take a picture if the dark slide is in place. Once you remove it, there you go. The other thing that they've got, which is really nice, is that once you take the back off, you can't remove the dark slide unless it's in place to avoid exposing your roll of film. Thanks, Mamiya. One of the features that the Pro S has that the first Professional did not have also is this little switch here on the backs that allow you to create a double exposure or prevent a double exposure. Actually really fun to shoot for double exposures with this camera. Here's one of my favorites. The RB67 also includes a bellows focus. It's got these giant focusing knobs, which are actually really handy. So essentially you're dealing with a bellows camera. And this is really great for doing close-up work with stuff. In fact, I've taken photos of things. I've been with this 90mm lens, and I'm only about 1 foot away. I also have purchased this lens. This is a 180mm lens. It's a KL and f4.5. I don't find it's as sharp as the 90mm, but it's good for portrait work. And here's a few photos. The only downside, really, with the Mamiya RB67 is the size and the weight. It's about as big and about as heavy as a limousine, but it doesn't come with a cocktail bar. Here you can compare its size to a Hasselblad 500C. It's almost twice as big, and the fact of the matter is, it's literally twice as heavy. Let's weigh him. It's kind of like a boxing match. So, the RB67 weighing in at practically 6 pounds. Hasselblad 500C, a little over 3 pounds, twice the weight. 3 pounds around your neck starts to add up after a couple hours of shooting. And things really get crazy when you compare it to this Rolleicord TLR, which only weighs in at 2 pounds. Many people think that because of the size and weight of the Mamiya RB67, it's limited to a studio. That makes some sense. However, I've been so tempted at times to get this out of the garage that I've done exactly that. I've taken it on street shoots, got some really good photos. I've even been so willing to punish myself that I've put this in a backpack, packed it up mountains to shoot bristlecone pines, and up sand dunes in Death Valley. Got some great shots though. Is it worth it? Yeah. Does it break your back? Yeah. But it doesn't break your checkbook. And this is what's really important also. The RB67 is the best medium format camera bang for your buck that I think you're ever going to find. For instance, to find one in very good condition with a 90mm lens, you're going to pay between $600 and $700. That's a chunk of change. But when you compare that with the Hasselblad 500C with its usual lenses, you're going to pay between $1,500 and $2,000. Now, I think the Hasselblad's worth it. It's a fantastic camera. But if you want to work on a budget and get a fantastic camera with fantastic glass, RB67 is the way to go. Some important words of advice when it comes to shooting a Mamiya RB67. One of the biggest challenges I found is mirror slap. This is a big, huge mirror in this camera. Shooting at any speed under 125, you're gonna really experience mirror slap. One of the big mistakes I've made in the past is using the mirror up function, which is found on the side of the lens here. The way the mirror up function works is now what usually fires the shutter and the mirror, right here, the shutter release button, now only fires the mirror. And in order to get the shutter to fire, you either need to add a shutter release cable here and then pop the shutter, or you can move this and fire it that way. However, one thing to look out for, and this is really important, is that sometimes I've forgotten that I was in mirror up mode. I would wind, and that really satisfying mirror slap sound made me feel and think that I was taking a photo when actually the shutter hadn't fired at all. I think the other thing to avoid is that Mamiya at one point made a shutter release cable, especially for mirror up, Not worth it. Not worth it at all. They're kind of expensive. They're very fickle, very finicky, difficult to use, and then mine just malfunctioned. What I found the best thing to do is just to use a regular shutter release cable, go into mirror up mode, use your finger to lift the mirror, wait a second, and use the cable release to fire the shutter. I hope I've done this camera justice. It's done a lot of great things for me. Some of my favorite photographs I've taken with this camera. For instance, this picture of my daughter on her birthday. This is one of the first images I ever entered into a contest, and it actually won an Audience Choice Award. The 90mm Mamiya C-Core C is an incredible lens, so fantastic. And for the price, you're just not going to beat it. I highly recommend that you do buy a Mamiya RB67, play chauffeur, take it to prom, cruise around a little bit, and maybe partake of a little cocktail bar. Thank you very much. I'm Todd Macon. This is Film Camera Obsession. Please hit subscribe. Come back again.